Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Breadcrumbs to Passion podcast, where we inspire you with deeper and connected conversations for you to have fun and live wholeheartedly.
I am Amanda Giebel.
And I'm Jason French, your co-host to the Breadcrumbs to Passion podcast.
And we are exploring today episode number 2, Getting Out of Your Head.
Awesome. So glad to have you here as we embark on this great topic around getting out of your head, which I think we started off quite well with that, didn't we?
Definitely in our head.
We're back
in now. We're back
now, back into the heart space. So it's quite an interesting topic for a lot of people, and especially right now, as we were discussing earlier, around this particular area of people getting stuck in their heads, especially and putting themselves into a lot of overwhelm because obviously what's happening out there in the world right now.
Yeah. I think, definitely in Brisbane where we are, we've just learnt that we are in lockdown. Like we've had a 3-day lockdown and we've learnt that it's extended out another week. And yes, we are very lucky compared to the rest of the world, but it's all about where you're at. So for Brisbane, we get used to living this lifestyle, and then something like this happens where, it's 3 days pushed out to a week. And then we find that people just don't know what to do with themselves because it's not the norm. So we, I feel like we're here today to inspire people to take some action of like maybe different stuff that they are saying like, yeah, we need to do this, we need to do this. Well, this is a perfect week to do it, you know? And it's going to get you out of your head, because at the end of the day, if we get caught up in the news and we get caught up in everything else that's going on, or that we can't socialize, that we can't go and do these things, we're going to be in our head.
Do you find that, do you find this, but I also find this with a lot of my clients, is around this particular area of where they get stuck in the head is basically, like you said, getting attached to whether it's media, whether it's social media, whether it's conversations with other people, that drives this fear mentality into like the mind, keeping them in that fight or flight process of the mind, that it causes them to stay in their head. So it's like a survival mode when we're in our head. Would that be true for you?
Yeah, definitely. And I can vouch on just conversations that I've had that people, it's like it's on like verbal diarrhea, basically. It's like they're so programmed to go, that fear. It's like, well, someone's telling me this, so that's my thoughts. It's like, well, hang on a minute. Are they really your thoughts, or what's happening here? Like, are you making that decision for yourself, or are you listening to the people around you and the other influences? And obviously other influences, they want us to be in fear. Because then we are controllable, right? It's not, for us, we think probably a little bit outside of that box mentality. And that's when, we come into contact with these people to put it in their face, like, really? Like, why are you acting like this? And it's people get quite defensive and like really have to push the point or their point across, but it's not their point, it's someone bigger than that pushing their point on.
Say that headspace, when people go into that headspace, I know this doesn't matter what topic it is, when I go to support someone, for instance, the first thing they go to is defense. So when we go to defense, that's when you'll know that you're actually in your head, because it's a protection. I think what you were sharing before is fear creates that place of vulnerability. And so when you go to that place of vulnerability, people automatically put up those guards, of defense to go, no, this is not a good place to be. So I've got to do something it's a trauma reaction really to what's experiencing for them, because they're like trying to claim back their power, claim back some kind of normality in their life, is what I pick up from it. For me, as you were saying, for you, like I really go back into what's true in my heart for me before I go into that and use my head as discernment. And I think a lot of people do it the other way. I know for me in the beginning, I used to do everything in my head and forget about what I was feeling.
Yeah.
So now, over the years of doing work, what I've learned is more use your head as discernment, not as the
driving.
the driving,
Yeah.
the wheel or the vehicle that drives everything. Because when you do that, you're living in survival mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And with everyone else, it's the same thing. Comes back to making your own decision, which is fine. But is it your decision coming from that fear, or are you like, does this sit well with me? Like, just sit with it. Does it sit well with me? And if you're feeling that little bit of confusion, well, then maybe you don't need to follow the herd. You know, it's not good for everyone. Just because one person turns into 100 people of making that decision doesn't mean it's a good decision for you. You know, and I think that's where it comes down to coming back to your heart. It's like, well, you know, a conversation that I had this morning, I actually felt like I needed to move away from the conversation because it wasn't serving me. I was like, I don't want to be involved in this conversation. And it was around, you know, the big C word and, you know, what's going on. And I could just sense that the lady was coming from fear.
Yeah.
And she was trying to put that across to me. And I was like, literally like, I feel like I need to leave this situation, you know, but that was because I'm not buying into, you know, whatever else is going on out here.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting, you know, particular subject for a lot of people right now. But I'd love to inspire our listeners more into that place of going, if it's not this, it's something else as such as well in their everyday life, where they get caught in that headspace. You know, like there's so many ways that you can get caught on trying to survive rather than thrive in your everyday. What's your thoughts around that particular area? Because like getting in your head can be consumptive.
I think making your own decision is huge, and I just think that, you know, if there's a problem, I feel like a lot of people will go and have a discussion with, you know, a friend, say, and then, you know, they'll listen to that, but then they'll go and have a discussion, let's say, with another friend or a family member, and they've got something different to say, or they're on the same track as the first friend. And so then you've got two opinions, but then maybe you go and talk to someone else and someone else has a different opinion. And that whole time is that person, you know, coming back to themselves and going, is this actually right for me? But no, it's like that people pleasing, got to go and speak to them, someone else has always got to know more than me. And I think, just knowing in yourself, like, I'm making this decision and it's purely based on my thoughts and no one else's. You know, like I always say, I like to spend a lot of my time alone because I don't like to be caught up in everyone else's BS.
Yeah, same.
And I think that's, well, it comes with the work we do as well, because we expel so much energy to everyone else, you know, like we help and inspire a lot of people that we actually need a fair amount of time to ourselves to just come back and like really feel into it.
Yeah, it's getting out of your head is like I said before, can be challenging in the beginning. What I find also is that when you go into practices, like we were talking before, when you go into practices that can support you to get into that heart space, into that your own inner truth, it can help a lot to get yourself grounded. It can get you in that place. I always say on the intersection of fear and love is authentic power. So if you're, and that's unconditional love, because love can be conditional and love can be unconditional. So where with fear, it's usually something that's continually there for us, and really fear is just something that we don't have anything to go on. So people are clutching for straws to hold on to because they were trying to control it. Hence it brings up fear for them. So when we go into that place of really understanding that if something is unknown or uncertain about something, of course there's going to be fear. So how can you calm your mind, your ego, basically, to stop defending or protecting and allow you to get clarity come in? That is like a great place to be, because when the clarity comes in, you'll know what the truth is for you.
Yeah.
And so getting out of your head is really going through practices that can support you in getting that to happen. Like you said before, having that space and time to yourself, it helps you get that, bring that energy back into you.
Yeah. But I guess just this morning, like just having our lockdown, it was actually really nice. I went for a walk with my son, right? But it was actually, it's nice not to have to rush. So, you know, that's one thing. Like there was nothing pushing that we had to get out of the door at that time to get back to do this, to do that. That's actually a really nice place to start your day, because usually it's that first thing in the morning, you're like, we got to go, we got to go, we got to do this, we got to do that. And that's, you know, it's straight up here.
Yeah.
But this morning we actually left the house. There was no time. We actually needed to get back. You know what I mean? So it's like that was just calming. Yeah, that was just calming in itself, that, okay, we can, it doesn't matter if, you know, like my little one jumped on his scooter and we stopped here and we stopped there. You know, usually I'm like, come on, we gotta go.
The prodding stick. You got the prodding stick out there. Come on, move it.
No, honestly, it's not like that. But it was actually, it did feel really nice to be able just to not have that push on time. So that's probably, you know, like one of those things where you can maybe carve out some of your week or even on the weekend to be like, okay, today we don't need to run to such a tight schedule. Like taking that time just to go, okay, we can just chill in the morning. We don't need to rush out the door. You know, I think that's probably like a powerful tool to have up your belt, and just not only just to know that, but to commit to it. And whether that is a little affirmation on a Saturday or whenever you choose to have that time out, it's like, okay, we do not need to rush today.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's it's a great point. People getting in their heads is basically living to the expectations and judgments of others, keeps people in their head. Like you said, when of a morning, if you have to get up and you're doing everything to rush out the door or meet a schedule expectation, it can be quite taxing on your body, mind, and spirit when that's a continual process and you don't put in that what is it, like an intervention, basically, if you don't stop that to take that space out to just get grounded again and go, okay, so this is where I need to go forward again.
Yeah, and I think, you know, on that point, as a side note, like starting out your day, like what's the first thing that you do? You know, if that's to pick up your phone and start reading emails or to read messages, that chaotic thought is going to be how the rest of the day is going to roll. So, you know, like on that point, it's like, well, set a good practice every morning, whether that is you get up and do some exercise, whether that is you go and have a drink of water and just take 5 minutes, or whether you do some meditation or put on some nice music, whatever it is for you to get not in that got to do this mode, like straight up, got to do this, got to have this done, blah, 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 because that's how the rest of the day is going to roll.
Yeah.
So let's start there.
Well, I've got something really excited to share about that, because through this whole process over the last week, something that's really came home to me really strong was around the athletes currently in Tokyo that are being, the women have done so well in the pool. And getting their medals. But the thing that I really loved, and we haven't even discussed this, so this is going to be quite fun how this rolls, how basically they were talking about the other Olympians that were co-hosting. They were actually talking about the mindset behind these particular athletes when they were going for their gold medals and so forth, the power of intention. But this is where they would say they've already done the work, so they know what to do, but what brings out the Olympian as a gold medalist is what's in their heart right now. So how much do they want it in their heart? And I think of this a lot because a lot of people will quit because they get stuck in the head, when as opposed to going into that place of heart. Now that comes into desire, that comes into that powerful strength within, that you think what once was impossible is now possible.
Yeah.
Sense. Like, so I was really inspired by that. But the other thing I was inspired by was the fact of these coaches that, especially obviously Ariana's Titmus's coach, when he was like going off like a frog in a sock. I was inspired because of the fact that when I see my obviously my athletes or clients that I support reaching that gold medal in their life,
yeah,
I get excited for them too. I go off like a bit of a frog in a sock as well, like going, yes, because I think it's really powerful to know that, you know, when you're being supported as well, and this is especially for people that get stuck in their head, that accountability and that support makes a huge difference to be able to help you to, you know, basically shift that and get moving. And what I found is that particular area is watching them, like all these athletes and coaches say exactly the same thing. It's that connection you get from being in your heart, and that desire is what brings that dream into reality. It's what brings everything out in the best part of human beings, is when they're in that heart. And so, of course, the head comes into play of whatever's in that heart, making that happen. But a lot of people go to making everything what's in the head happen and not actually being fulfilled in what that is for them.
Yeah, so true. A couple of things that just came up around that was, like for Olympians, right? There's only a certain few that can get to that level because of the dedication that they have to their structure, to their routine, and the way that they deal with life. Whereas I would say 90% of people don't want to push that extra effort to get those results.
Well, not everyone wants to be an Olympian. However, we can.
No, but this is like, we can relate this to life. So if we take the high performers, you know, they don't get to that high performing state without having structure, without having routine, without having that power of intent, and to say, I am going to do this, I will get there no matter what. You know, and that's the same with the Olympians, because they're not going to just go in there like half-heartedly, oh yeah, I'm going to get there one day. Yeah. But I think 90% of the population are like, yeah, I want that, but I don't want to do the hard work.
Yeah, you know exactly. Yeah.
Which just means, you know, like it's in here again, because they can't commit to past being like, if some better offer comes, well then, you know, it's like jump ship. I'll just go on that. Yeah. You know, or distractions. Or in fitness, as we know, like, oh, everyone's looking for that magic pill. They don't want to put in the hard work. It's just like they just want to take a pill to make it all happen, and you know. But it's to come back to like just knowing what you want and really making that intention so gold medalish.
Yeah.
That it's just hanging there the whole time. So whatever actions, whatever the way you show up, the way you speak in the world, like have that gold medal hanging there.
Yeah.
That's going to get you there.
Yes.
If you don't have that strict like vision or understanding of where you want to go, well then it's never going to happen, because there's going to be too many other things that are coming along the way that can sidetrack you.
Yeah, I think that when you said that strict, I think the best way to look at that as well is around the focus. Like what you focus on is what you will get. Yeah. So, like I'm a real rebel when it comes to like strict. So what I do in that scenario is I go focus, and with focus, what it reminds me of, everything that needs to obviously happen comes, like you shared in our previous podcast. I don't know how I got here, it just happened. But what I think it's because of that intent and focus really makes a massive difference. So for those people that rebel against being like under strict guidelines, all that, it's funny that you use that word, because it's quite hilarious. Something came up to me. I rebelled against the health and fitness industry so big when I was losing my way because of me having to restricted diets and all this. And so I did it a different way. And that was exactly what I did. I did that intent, and I went through that whole process of how is this supporting my body rather than how is it getting that particular result. And I got the result. It may have taken me a little bit longer, but as we see with the Olympians, they don't just get into the pool and train for so many weeks to become an Olympian. This is showing up on a daily basis.
Yeah.
When everyone else is doing something else, they don't follow the herd. They do what's true for them, which is, like we're saying, getting out of their heads, getting into their hearts, what's true for me. Yeah. And what's true for me is to be a high performer or get the gold medal. Because a lot of them, it's actually more about, I remember speaking to Anna Mears at a thing that I was at on crew, an event, and I actually asked the question, Anna, what does the gold medal mean to you? You know, when you were standing up on that podium, what did it actually represent to you? And she burst into tears and she said, no one actually asked me that question. She said, but just then, she said, all I could see was all those days of training, all those days my parents took me, that my coaches took me, the days that I got out of bed when it was raining and the days when it wasn't. I was prepared for adversity.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's really powerful. To get out of your head, get into your heart, will prepare you for adversity. Exactly what we're experiencing right now.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, it just gave me goosebumps. Like, you know, it's cool because the dedication that just comes with getting that gold medal, you know, and I think that's the thing with high achievers, whatever. Sometimes people only see that end result. So if that's that gold medal, or if that's like someone showing up and doing a really good job in the world, they only see that and they're like, well, how did they get there? They don't realize how much hard work it is, or how much structure and routine is behind getting there. You know, I think that's why it just gave me.
That's good that I gave you those goosebumps.
No, your story.
That's right. Spiritual goosebumps, we call them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So coming from our conversation and getting out of your head today, what has been something that you think has highlighted for our listeners?
I think, you know, these steps, just start basic. And if that means getting out in nature, so first thing, if you want to go for a walk, I wouldn't touch the phone, wouldn't start doing emails until you've had some time to yourself, even having some breakfast, then hopping on to get into work mode. Like, that's really a number one step. Getting out into nature, whether that just taking the dog out for a little walk, or taking your children out for a little walk if you can get the children out that early, or whatever it is, or on your own, whatever. Just get outside and breathe that fresh air, and be thankful. Thank you for another day.
Absolutely.
Because that's magical. Just that power in itself is magical. And then during the day, if you are feeling like, okay, getting anxious or the energy is getting low, again, go outside, like get that fresh air, because sometimes we're stuck inside for too long, and especially in lockdown. You know, like, it's really important to get outside and just even sit by the water, or have a shower, or, you know, something like that, where it's really grounding.
A detox bath, they're very helpful.
Yes. So Jason French says on his on his post. Yeah, but, you know, like, it's those little things that sometimes we forget that are so important, but that's coming back to that structure and routine.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my favorite practices as well, I do exactly what you do, is in that particular area of getting grounded with nature and all that sort of stuff. But another thing that I always love doing is also when I'm not in that vicinity. So if you're in a workplace, or you're somewhere that's not so much nature around you, like if you're in the city or so forth, taking that time out or space and just do a body scan.
Yeah.
In regards to just checking in with your body of where it is that it currently needs support, because your body has intelligence, and by just asking it the question, what does it want, you can bring that forward to be able
Yeah.
to support it. So that's something else. The body scans I find really, really good, of just closing your eyes and just connecting and just going through that whole process of starting from your head down to your toes. And
I
just,
think,
yeah.
yeah, one of my things that I say to my clients, even if you're in a workspace, because you're taking on everyone's energy when you're in a shared workspace, to just even go to the toilet, and if that means sit there for 5 minutes and just like come back to the body, come back to, okay, I just need to breathe.
Yeah.
Just to get away from all that communication or those connections, anything. Like, it all affects us. So just, even if you have to go to the toilet for 5 minutes, obviously, in COVID, it's a bit different. Everyone's kind of at home, but, on a general sense, if you're at a workplace and you're feeling that anxiety or that anxiousness, take yourself to the toilet and just have that 5 minutes to yourself.
Absolutely.
Breathe.
That's another, to get out of your head, breathe. Because
Simple.
breathing gives you life.
Simple, effective tools.
Absolutely. Wow, I've been really enjoyed sharing today's podcast with you, especially my amazing co-host, and also our amazing audience. So we look forward to sharing more with you. And as always, before we sign off, what's your words of wisdom?
Just one thing before I get to that. So we're going to change our podcast to Monday afternoons at 4:30 Australian Eastern Standard Time. We were just finding that the internet was not working with us in the middle of the day. So yeah, Mondays 4:30 in our group, and we'll load it on our personal pages after that. Words of wisdom. I think for today we should just sit with ourselves and really feel into heart space. So just, no matter what's going on, just come back to here. That's my words of wisdom for today.
Absolutely. And mine is always to be brave and be that change, because what may have worked for you once doesn't necessarily say it will work for you today. So be open to the possibilities of something doing life differently, because I think you'll find, getting out of your head and living from your heart, life will become more easy, like a lot easier, and there's a lot more flow into what it is you're trying to create in your life.
And of course, fun, because we all want to have some more fun. So
absolutely, have fun, live wholeheartedly, and we look forward to sharing with you on the next episode of Breadcrumbs
to Passion.
Now.
All right, bye, crew.